Thank you very much. Yes, it's really exciting that the World Cup is starting, and most of the teams are excited. And the first game being South Africa playing Mexico, it really has brought some division in terms of excitement, in terms of teams supporting African teams. It's really divided. Some others feel like South Africa still deserves to be supported, but others are still split in the fact that maybe they should support Mexico more, feel attached to South Africa with the ongoing issues in South Africa. So maybe that's where they are divided. But overall, I can safely say uh, they are excited, and we can see that almost these merchandise are all over. But you can never rule away the fact that these European merchandise, obviously England, German, Argentina, are making more headlines than most of these African teams. I think that's one of the most. And being a sports reporter in Africa, it's always a challenge to really help out in terms of promoting African football, trying to convince to say African football is the way. And we are still pushing our way around, but I think sometimes even the feedback we get, even just the football itself, even the football clubs themselves, how much they engage more for us to be for them to help us in terms of just bringing in these football fans to really love and be part of African football. It's so difficult, but we try by all means. But we can say so far that objective hasn't been met yet, whereby we really want African to support fellow Africans. And when you come to the African, like Namibia, I wouldn't really be surprised looking at maybe the excitement and the popularity we add to our leagues and our players. Just exciting, and just sometimes football is also about familiarity. They look at, maybe they are used to seeing these. The Rashfords on TV, the Messis on TV, and maybe the publicity is low in terms of our own players. Which, if you can, maybe some of these fans, you can be surprised. They can mention maybe the starting lineup for England or Argentina, but if you ask them to say what are some of the South African players we are looking forward to watch, what are some maybe of the Senegalese players we are looking forward to watch, maybe they can mention a few populars like Sadio Mane, but overall they can't make the starting lineup for Senegal. That also plays an hindrance in terms of how these support these players. And personally, when we look at the team I'm going for the World Cup, I would say, in as much as I would love to see an African team win, but I know, obviously, my heart wants an African team to win. Being closer to Congo, definitely will be the top number one team, DR Congo, being our neighbor. I think, especially that the region where I'm coming from, particularly, it's a Copper Belt, and Copper Belt, we just interact with the Congolese. It's like we are just the same, and we're just nearby here, so we feel more attached and obliged to support Congolese was they root in the Africa, I mean, at the World Cup, representing Africa. So definitely that's my number one team. I'm a fan of Senegal, and I still have a small sport for Morocco. And I think, despite also their issues with other teams, but I feel these, in terms of football wise, they play good football. So these three teams, I can say safely say, they are my team for this World Cup. I don't have any other teams which I'm supporting in terms of these European teams. So basically, this is just it.
But for me, this issue is not about supporting African football or supporting, yeah, it's about supporting African football. You know, there's no one who support anyone in this world simply because you want to support him. You always support someone because you have an interest behind it. For me, the issue, we have to look at this issue from the angle of what do we propose to our population as football product. The more we will entertain our football, the more we will entertain our teams, the more we will put money in our teams. When I talk about money, you need to understand that they will always respect people who have a lot of money. Unfortunately, players who play African players, the majority of African players don't have money. No one will respect them. They will not be popular. The only African footballers who are popular, who are respected, are those playing in Europe. So we need to invest to find solution to make our football more popular, to entertain it more, to to bring it more to the population, so that yeah, we can create an interest to the young people.
Moving in all cities, 3 big cities of Malawi, in terms talking of Blantyre, Lilongwe, and Mzuzu, the streets and the big shops are flooded with European jerseys. In terms of the teams who have qualified to the World Cup, you talk of Brazil dominates, Portugal also dominates, France and England. Replica jerseys as well as the flags for these countries are being sold everywhere. Like maybe these countries are coming to Malawi. You may wonder that no much African jerseys are found on the streets. I've only seen a little, maybe from South Africa, because a lot of Malawians travel to South Africa, so it's like maybe we are related. But I haven't seen much African merchandise, African flags and African jerseys being flooded or being sold in streets as well as the big shops. But European merchandise, Brazilian flags, Brazilian replica jerseys, we talk of Portuguese, France, and of course England, are everywhere. Vendors and the big shops are selling them. So I haven't seen much merchandise from African clubs, African teams which have qualified into the World Cup. Maybe I feel like it is due to previous performance of these African teams in World Cup. Like, as you know that they don't perform better to the maximum, maybe reaching the final or winning the World Cup. So it seems like Africans have lost trust to African teams in terms of World Cup. They feel that they just go there to participate, not to compete. So it is discouraging them to buy merchandise, to buy flags, to buy replica jerseys. So you can see that as Malawi streets, a lot of European merchandise have been dominating, more especially Portuguese and Brazilians. It is quite disappointing for me, as well as for the Africans, to see the African cities, African streets flooded with more merchandise from Europe than African. As we are talking that more African countries now have qualified to the World Cup, but no much merchandise being sold in across African countries. This means that we lack patriotism to African, we lack trust, and we don't love African football, because we sell more European football than African. Even if you look at the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederation, if you compare them with European UEFA League, UEFA Conference, or UEFA Europa, you see that African people watch and support more European leagues than African leagues. So it is quite disappointing. We like patriotism. Now, as for the countries which are competing now in the World Cup, I feel or I see that maybe this time around France will carry the day, will win the championship, will claim the title, having lost in a previous edition to Qatar, to Argentina in Qatar. So I feel like France will this time around win the World Cup. Thank you.
My brother, thank you, man. Thank you so much. But in Kigali, it seems to be different with Namibia, because, there's this one challenge of this World Cup, the time of the games. All the games are going to be played during the night, and Kigalians are not the ones who always like to spend the nights just watching the games. So that is one challenge. And the second is that there's, spreading informations of the country of USA, how they're just treating Africans. What happened the last 2 days of there's Somalis referee, they've denied his entry in USA, and a part of that, all the things that are happening, politically, it's just affecting football. This wall of Ireland and the USA, it is just affecting the love of the game. The guys are not happy with the USA at all. Kigalians are not happy. Like, they know what is going on. They know how USA president just treating those people from Africa, how they're treating people from Ireland. When you gather all the informations, Kigalians are not happy at all. And when it comes to the jerseys of those countries of Europe, America, Africa, it's not really being a big thing in Kigali. Like, it's actually, even Kigalians are saying that this should be the worst World Cup that ever going to be played, because they're not hot. They're not, they're not happy at all with everything. So it is as if it's something that is going to happen in USA, Mexico, Canada, but they're not really in love with it. They're not happy with it at all. It will happen. We'll do match commentaries live, of course, but they're not really fine and feel great with that. Some of us are waiting for it to start. Some of us watch the game, but when you see all the information that is being spread in USA, how you can check what happened yesterday near where England is located. Earthquake, gun shoutings. Things are not well as it used to be. So there's one, and the second is African countries to be there. We should expect more. We should expect something more in African countries. But when it comes to African countries in World Cup, the best country in Africa is Morocco. Like, most of us are expecting something big in Morocco. Should be the country to represent Africa to reach on higher level. Yeah, and the second question, I think it was about to. I got your second question. Because as I've answered the first question, it's now being a big thing in Kigali or in Rwanda. So it also answered the second question the same way. It is not being hot at all. It's as if it is something that's going to happen in USA, but not as if it's going to happen in South Africa, or the thing like what happened before World Cup 22 in Qatar. The expectations, the temper was high, but nowadays it is not the same as I have explained before. Yeah, 100%. AFCON is our game, and sometimes in East Africa, in AFCON, we got being represented by 2 countries or 3. Most of the time, it's Uganda, Tanzania, and sometimes Ethiopia. Yes. So those are East African countries. We also have DRC, neighboring country, always in AFCON. So we get excited and interesting in AFCON. Wherever it takes place, whether Morocco, whether South Africa, we watch. We're all interested. We talk a lot about AFCON. Even it's actually the difference is that this World Cup is going to take place in USA, where there is a time of the games are during the night, where people, or most of them, go to sleep. But when it comes to AFCON, Euro, or the World Cup that is going to take place somewhere during the whole day to the African time, we got interested. But AFCON always were good, because the time of AFCON, the national teams of AFCON, it's different. There's a big difference. We fall in love in AFCON than how it is in this World Cup.
Yes, of course, you find a lot of flags and jerseys of teams that participate in the World Cup in the Cameroon market. I mean, in the shops and on the streets. The reason is very simple. In the recent years, African countries and Cameroon, and especially Cameroon, have signed a lot of trade agreement with China, which is the biggest manufacturers of sports products. These have given the opportunity for Chinese to exploit our markets and to flood our market with their products. The World Cup is an opportunity for them to exploit the passion that the Cameroonians have with football. Cameroon is World Cup is a very popular event out there. Cameroon is the country of football. We breathe football. We eat football. Yeah, the world, the Chinese are exploiting this passion to flood our market with product. But people don't only buy these flags or jerseys because they like this team or this team, but also because China has the capacity to manufacture big quantity of these products and to float our market. So at a cheap price. So is the opportunity to have the replica of your best team or your best player, and also to have clothes very cheap, season clothes, very cheap. Unfortunately, you will find more replica European countries than replica of African countries. The reason for this is that we live in a global world, and in such condition, we all follow the waves uh, that are created with the most powerful countries. You know what makes the power in football is money and entertainment. Where do you find it? In Europe, in America. So our leagues in Africa, like in Cameroon, the national championship is not even shown on TV. I've been in Namibia. You will not. I tried to find the information about the national league on internet. I couldn't find it. So what do young people see every Sunday or every Wednesday? It's European leagues or the Champions League. What are the players they know? This player play in European leagues and in the Champions League, and most of these international stars and Europeans or Americans, you have a very few African star in these countries. So young people they are buying the replica of their best player, the player they watch in European league. That's why you will find more European countries or American countries jerseys or flags during the World Cup. So I'm not surprised to discover that in Namibia you find more merchandise of European than of Africa. And maybe to give you an example of what I explained above, I have been in Namibia in last July, and I try to ask young people on the street to tell me what they know about Cameroon football. If they know some players in Cameroon, you will be surprised. They only told me they knew Onana because he's playing in Manchester United, and also the second player they knew were Abubakar Vincent because he scored a lot of goals in Africa Cup Nation. But apart of Onana and Abubakar Vincent, most of the young people I met, let's say 99% of them didn't know another player in Cameroon. You understand? Why? What is the reason? Because you don't find those players nowadays in big clubs in Europe. So, you understand?